Hello, welcome. This is part 2 of my color along for the marker edition of Gnome Sweet Gnome by Teresagoodridge. I didn't really plan this out very well, so when I started this, I started with the flowers just because I was going to show how to blend markers. So I didn't break this into parts very well, but I'm going to see how far we get on here, and if we need a part 3, we'll go for it. I'm going to start with greens this time. So for my trees, I pulled 50, 56, and 46. And if you are new here, I am using the taotreemarkers 101 set. I have Sharpies and Bics and things, and as I get more into the marker things and techniques, I will pull other markers. I was just starting kind of basic to see how much interest markers would generate. So again, I'm going to start dark because if I start light, I got to go back and blend anyway. So where she has like the shadow line, I'm going to go ahead and put my dark on all these trees. So again, if we decide we want to do another marker color along out of another book, I will plan it a little better. I may even darken this up a little. Like I do my pencil ones where I can break it into 4 equal parts-ish. I wasn't expecting this one to do as well as it did, so I didn't plan very carefully. But now that I know, I can plan accordingly. Markers are fun, though. I'm going to do this little tree in the background here, too. So I am going to be careful of my bushes. I do want my trees and my bushes to be a little different green. I'm still going to go green, because I feel like I'm going to keep with my basic colors of brown, green, and yellow, red on this page. So I don't want to introduce too much, but so my next color, and notice I'm going right over the top of that dark green. You'll get a nice, smooth transition here. This one we're winging it a little. Okay, and then my light. And if you wanted to add yellow to this, it would brighten up your top color. So you could go over it with yellow if you wanted. I have a lot of yellow down here, so I'm not going to do that on mine, but I do it to trees and things sometimes. Actually, let me quickly see. This is out of my practice book, so this isn't but you can add yellow into trees to give the sun effect. You know, it kind of looks like the sun's bouncing off everything. So you can do it off the side or off the top, however you want. Like I did yellow at the top and added a little green to the bushes. However you want your light to kind of look like it's hitting your trees. This one doesn't have a whole lot of sky in the background, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to keep it kind of simple on this one. Sometimes less is more. So see here, we're mixing those two colors. So circular motions, and I'm going right over the top of that other color. And then if I need to, I can come back with it. And just kind of darken up the bottom. So the other set of green I'm going to do is on these leaves. So different set of green I pulled. 43, 51, and 48. And they look like very different greens, which they are, but they work well together. So my dark, again, is going to be my shadow color. So very carefully, so that I don't bleed into my yellow and have odd looking petals. And with as much as we have going on here, this is a little bit tedious, just to make sure I'm getting everything right here. So I am going to do my leaves basically all the same color, just because as many as they are and how I'm going to blend them, they'll each have their own little personality flair anyway. So I'm not going to worry about switching up the colors like I did on the petals a whole lot. Make sure I'm on camera here. Okay, again, very careful not to get my green and my yellow here. Someone asked me a very good question about if your markers will bleed together when you're blending like this. So if I were to take this red and green and try to color my markers, I would get that green or red on the tip of my marker. When you're doing them with close colors like this, it doesn't really affect it at all. But you can always try it out on paper if you don't like. I have seen some people will take one marker, touch it to the tip of another, and then color, and it will blend for you. It will, you know, the color you put down on the tip, and then it will blend into the color that comes out. I don't do that a whole lot. I tried it a couple times. It is kind of fun, but I just blend this way. I would probably do it more on my Crayola type markers versus my more expensive ones. Also, if you want to watercolor with markers, I think I have one video up where I Crayola, watercolored with Crayola the Color of the World markers because I didn't like them. But you can do it with alcohol too with the same process. You just scribble on a glass plate or a piece of plastic, take a little rubbing alcohol with a paintbrush, and you'll get that painterly look. So there are lots of things you can do with markers, and I really skipped around on those leaves. Okay, 48. Notice I'm going right over the top of all my colors. As far as swatching markers go, I don't swatch. I think it's a good idea. But the way I color personally with markers, I feel like is the same with pencils. I don't pull my swatch charts. I still grab a piece of paper and test them out. I am more interested in the combos and how they look with other colors versus just the single color itself. So I am personally not swatcher just because it's very repetitive and time consuming, and my patience, and I skipped a whole petal right there and whatnot. It's just not for me, but I have tried it a few times. I just find that they sit in my binder. I have a reference folder of like color combos and all my swatches and what I own, and I just don't pull them very often. I have way more scratch paper laying around with little combo marks all over it from testing out combos than I do like the organizationized look and feel of it. Having one in my folder would be nice. I just don't have the patience to do it myself. Funny how that works sometimes. I could sit here and do these flowers and leaves forever, but as far as swatching pencils out into little squares, I can't do it. And same way mandalas sometimes. Some of them I can get into, some of them they lose me quickly. All right. So I did go with this very earthy green, so that way my browns would kind of correlate. I can bring some browns in on the roof here. And again, it gives me a kind of a limited palette feel, so we don't have a whole lot of colors. You know, I don't have reds and purples and greens and blues, and but still enough color that my flowers and my leaves and my trees are all standing out to the eye. So I really need to fix those leaves. They're bugging me. but I have a feeling those are not the only ones I skipped. And I'm going to darken this here. That's just personal choice. No really rhyme or reason other than I just feel like it helps. You hear my mama cat talking in the background. I foster babies, if you're new here, kittens, all year around for the local animal shelter. So we get usually newborn or fairly close babies with and without moms. Actually, this is the first mom I've ever had with the babies. Usually they are bottle fed from the newborn state. But yeah, we do all that, and litter box and shots and food, and we find them nice homes, and it just kind of helps free up a little space in the shelter there and keeps some strays. So yeah, there's a little about me if you didn't know. Some of you will be like, yes, we know, we've heard your cat story many times, but I feel like I've got few new people with the whole marker thing. So just want to let you know with the noise in the background, she's not abused. Okay, again, right over the top of that green. And I am going to do a bigger background, a gradient background, which will show the blending of alcohol markers a little better. I just need to find a good page for it. Because gradients are my favorite with pencils and markers. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my light. So I'm not going to do all of these leaves just because I think this pretty much shows you the process and the effect you're going to get from it. Now you will see there's some spaces in between these leaves. I'm probably either going to come in with a dark brown, a darker green, or even maybe a black and just kind of black it out so it looks like the garden is full. That will also help my leaves pop a little more. So I'm not going to worry about the spaces in between the leaves. But I do want to make sure when I do it, I have a darker green than the dark I used so that I don't lose the bottom of my leaf and it just looks like tips of leaves floating. All right. So the next thing I'm going to quickly tackle are trees. Let's get some brown in here. So give me 1 second. Alright, so I pulled my browns. When you're doing browns, same as with pencils, you want to kind of decide if you want dark browns, reddish brown, orangish brown. I'm going with more of a muted neutral kind of brown. Again, keeping with the nature, if I could talk, earthy tones I have going in my page. So 92, 102, and 101 are what I chose. Now trees you can work two ways. You can put your light down first and then your dark for the details and then not blend it. Or you can do as I've been doing and start with my dark and go from there. I'm going to start dark just to see how I like it, and then I will go from there. I would show you both ways, but I feel like if my trees come out looking different and then I show this page to people, they're going to be like, what are you doing? I don't want to copy you. You don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to try to keep my page looking accurate here. So I'm going to fill in this whole knot in the tree, and then I'm just kind of following her lines. You don't really have to. And I am going to use 3 colors. I like to blend markers with 3 colors, just like pencils, 3 color rule, light, medium, dark. And your light is usually always your blender color that will blend everything together. So I'm going to do dark around these leaves because I feel like my tree is coming down here. And then I'm going to try to make my trees stop at about the same point. Because I don't want this tree to look like it comes all the way down and this one stops like the ground's uneven. So just a minor thing to be aware of there. So if I don't like how these black lines are still peeking through when I get my other colors in, I can come back and add another layer of dark. So I'm still going to leave some white, not going to fill in all the areas with this. Oh, I almost colored out of the tree. Very careful around my leaves here. Still using the two colors all the way down so I get that tree vibe. Okay, lightest color, and I'm going to go right over the top of all of them. Now, if you like pencils over your marker, this is a good way to kind of put this down and come up and touch them and blend them together if you like. I don't love it. So I'm just kind of touching up a couple spots that look a little rough. And again, if you want to darken it up, if you feel like you lost some, you can layer markers just like everything else. It does not have to be a one and done. Right, so there is one tree. Now this little hammock, I think I'm going to do blue, and then I'm going to do this blue. That will bring in one more color for us. So again, I'm going to start dark and fill in this hole here, kind of work out. Again, very careful with what is tree, what is ribbon, and what is leaf right here. Avoiding my petals best I can. Now you will find some markers will bleed out of the lines depending on how thin your line work is, how thin your paper is, and how juicy your markers are. And then that light color. If you feel like this color is too light for what you want, because if you look at the difference, it does look way off compared to this side. But again, when you go back and you put your second layer on, it will darken as you add. So notice I did not sit here and scribble in one spot and darken it right off. I put one layer down, I went back with my medium and my dark, then I put another layer down. So I'm kind of building evenly. Because if I color out that spot a whole bunch with my light marker now and then not down here, I'm going to get that unevenness. again, just kind of putting some dark in. Okay, and then we will blend it up one more time. So while I have this lightest color out, I am going to incorporate it in another section of this page here. So to me, this looks like a little road here. Now I'm not going to use the exact same browns on top of it because I don't want it to look just like the trees. That would look weird if my road and my trees were the same. Trying to keep an eye of where the path is because I don't want to color the grass. I'm going to guess that it turns, but there's a line right there. Let's peek real quick and see if it shows on the back. So hers is green, which does not help me at all, but I'm going to stick with the path here. I'm going to follow it over to the tree. And my flowers here, and I'm going to just make it veer off. So it will disappear behind those flowers. That's how I'm going to do it. To each their own. This part I usually prefer to do in pencil or even eyeshadow is a nice touch for adding some depth to roads here. We're going to roll with it. That was 21 if you are following. I'm mostly just kind of playing. I don't even really know what I'm going for at this point. Color the branches under my bushes brown. Then I'm going to grab those greens I had. So I'm going to, let's see which ones I want here. I'm going to go 46, 37, 56. So I am going to add some yellow to these bushes just to show you. So same thing with the bushes as I did the trees before I run out of time here. Put in my shadow areas. Oh, I skipped a whole bunch right here. Okay, my next brightest. And you might think it looks weird at first. Trust the process. And we can even darken that green if we need to, the bottom one. Kind of blend that, make sure I got all the white out. And I actually might darken that green, but now it's going to look rough for a second, yes, because we are jumping colors, right? We didn't do a yellow green, we went from green straight to yellow. But by putting that yellow down and then coming back over, and you can even pull one lighter marker if you want to, which I might. Let's pull 59 right here. My whole bag is trying to fall over. We can make our own little bit of green, and we can decide how much yellow, if any, we want to show through. And this marker will still color just fine, no yellow. So, I do want to blend it good though. And just for eye-pleasing purposes, because I feel like those greens were all really close together. The good thing about marker is as long as you're not scribbling and tearing the paper, you can keep adding colors until you get it right. Because markers don't sit on the grit of the paper and get wax bloom. Just adding a little more yellow before I come back over with that. With that light green again and just kind of smooth out the lines. So there are bushes. We got to see that. That wasn't totally off screen. Right, so I am going to stop there. I feel like we covered quite a bit, trees and road and leaves and bushes. So I hope your page is coming out great. I appreciate all of you that decided to jump in and join in and hang out with me. Questions, comments, please let me know, and we'll finish this up next time. Thanks for watching.